Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopping on here really quick. Just want to give you guys an overview of some pain in the behind weather. I'm just going to come out and say it's a pain in the behind. Why can't it be like today? Just sunny, upper 60s, for like the next 6 to 8 weeks. That's what I hope for. It's not happening though. We've got storms coming in tomorrow. For some of us, yeah, it could be a nasty storm or two. For others, won't be anything. That's just how it goes. And then a little bit of snow, maybe Sunday and Monday. It's not much. I don't think it's going to be a big issue for us. But let's get into it. Talk about what we got coming. Let's go to the weather graphics. There they are. The old weather computer. Let's see if it works. Okay, so pretty quiet this evening. We hit 68 degrees in Cincinnati today, tying a record from 1948. That's 24 degrees above normal. We're going to fall through the 50s tonight. Going down around 50 degrees or so overnight. We'll start out mostly clear to partly cloudy. Then the clouds, they're going to thicken up. And fog could be the name of the game again tonight. I want to show you one of our models that shows visibility here. After midnight, really begins to drop the visibility down to less than a quarter, maybe less than an eighth of a mile in spots overnight and early tomorrow morning. So it may be a really foggy start on your Thursday here. And then that fog is expected to lift by the late morning. So don't be surprised if we see a dense fog advisory issued a little later on tonight. All right, so while you're out on our stream, let me know where you're watching from tonight. Nice to see you guys checking in with us and hanging out. I'll try to read some of your comments here as I go along, but I'm kind of pressed for time this evening. Morning drive, on Thursday, it's some fog in the area. Temperature's pretty close to 50 degrees or so. So give yourself some extra time tomorrow morning because in some areas that fog could be very thick. And then we start to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms developing tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. Very best chance of storms is going to come tomorrow evening. So here's the setup tonight. Pretty quiet for us right now. We did have some showers try to pop earlier west of Cincinnati. Those have faded away. I'm keeping a really tiny shower chance in. It's coming up on 7:30. I'm keeping that in probably for the next couple of hours. And then after that, looks like it's pretty quiet until the fog forms later tonight. You can see kind of a spin coming out of Utah into Colorado, low pressure developing back there. By tomorrow morning, that low will be shooting out into Nebraska. And this is going to be the weather maker that we see impacting us tomorrow. So we've got fog around the Ohio Valley tomorrow morning. And as this warm front lifts in tomorrow, the fog goes away. But we begin to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms developing along this warm front and behind this warm front tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And so as this warm front lifts through the tri-state, there's your scattered storms around through the afternoon and evening. Those will lift out by late evening. Then a cold front comes through with a few showers and some gusty winds and falling temperatures into Friday. The Storm Prediction Center has us in a level 2 severe threat. I usually don't get too bent out of shape about a level 2 or a level 1, and that's what we're in for tomorrow. I do not expect this to go any higher, but it's a slight risk of severe weather in the yellow shaded areas. 4 p.m. to about midnight Friday, although the midnight might be kind of generous. The threat will probably end before that. Areas southeast of town, Maysville, Peebles, down to Mount Olivet. You folks are in a smaller risk, a level 1. So you can think of that green shaded area as a very isolated severe weather risk, if any. You can think of the yellow shaded area as more of a scattered severe weather risk. Not everyone gets severe weather. It's not widespread, not numerous. It's just kind of scattered. So here and there, many areas get off without any issues at all tomorrow. Wind is going to be your primary threat. There's a hail threat. There's a tiny tornado threat too. We could break that down on a map. So the wind's in the middle. In the yellow shading, that's a 15% threat of a damaging wind gust, 58 miles per hour or higher, within 25 miles of any point on the map. And the hail risk is kind of the same for roughly the northern two-thirds of our area, about a 15% risk of a large hail falling from the sky within 25 miles of any single point. And then the tornado risk, it's between a 2 and 5%. 5% west of Cincinnati, 2% east of Cincinnati. So that's between a 2 and 5% of a tornado within 25 miles of any point. So yeah, overall a low risk, but when you get to the 5%, we start saying, we could get some tornado warnings. We could have some spinning storms. Whether or not they produce a tornado remains to be seen, but some storms could rotate. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on. When we're looking at severe weather, we've got a checklist. We've got ingredients that we need to make severe weather happen. And, a lot of times here in February, we just don't have all the ingredients. We got some of them. We got others that, are bigger than others, some smaller than others. But we don't always have all those ingredients at sufficient levels. So what we would call this as meteorologists is a conditional severe weather threat. It's conditional on certain ingredients being higher than what the models forecast, or it might be conditional on ingredients being lower, and so nothing happens. But moisture, one of those big ingredients that we need in the tri-state for severe weather. And yeah, we've got some moisture that we're working with there. It's not high levels of moisture. That might be one of the limiting factors to severe weather. We also need lift in the atmosphere and wind shear. So strong jet stream winds and a turning of winds with height. You bet, we've got that. And, these severe weather threats in our colder months, they tend to be the type of threats that have lots of shear and lots of lift. But they tend to be events that don't have a lot of instability. That's another ingredient we have. You can see, at least on this particular model, we're shading some areas, west and southwest of Cincinnati with the most instability. Other areas have none. So you can kind of see why the severe weather threat's lining up like it is, with areas west of Cincinnati having a higher threat than areas east of Cincinnati because of instability that's lacking, at least in the models. If that instability is higher than what the models show, then the severe weather threat could be higher. But sort of splitting the difference, that's where the Storm Prediction Center comes up with a level 2 severe threat. So it's conditional on that moisture being higher than what the models forecast and that instability being higher than what the models forecast. Because right now, yeah, there's some moisture, there's some instability, but, it's not really enough, at least as modeled, to really cause a great concern. Now, if we had more moisture, if we had more instability, then we might be looking at maybe a level 3 or enhanced severe weather risk here. But as it stands right now, it is a level 2 risk. So let me show you one of our models here. I was going to show you a couple different ones, but I didn't. I'm going to show you this one first. So this is the high-resolution rapid refresh model. We start out with low clouds and fog, maybe some drizzle and mist tomorrow morning. And then we start to clear the skies out in the afternoon. So the low cloudiness lifts, the sun starts to pop out, temperatures start to rise into the 60s. We start to see some of these popcorn showers developing, but it's not until after 4 that we begin to see, well, let's say after 3, between 3 and 4, we start to see some of these scattered storms popping up in the area. And you can see we get one little push of those storms lifting north with the warm front. And then temperatures are into the 60s. And then we see a disturbance arriving from the west in the evening, working on that warmer, more unstable air. And so these storms we have to watch, because if there's enough instability that develops, the updrafts can grow strong enough in those storms and robust enough, and we've got enough wind shear that those updrafts can start rotating. And so we could get some rotating storms into the evening. So that's around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. This particular modeling shows the stormiest time period for us coming then into the early part of the evening. So these are the storms we have to watch. I hope they stay below severe limits. They might. They might not get strong enough to prompt warnings. I'm hoping. That would be the best case scenario here. But we're kind of on the fence here on what these are going to do. You can see after, say, 10, 11 o'clock, those move away. And then there's a line of gusty showers there up around Connersville by 11. Those are the showers along the cold front. Those may produce some winds over 40 miles an hour. They kind of die out, though, as they reach Cincinnati around 1 in the morning. So we don't have virtually any instability at all at that point. So, I'm not concerned with anything later in the evening. I put the severe rest up to midnight. I think it's going to be over before that. So bottom line is, I'm not, and I'm going to load up a different graphic here while I talk to you guys, but bottom line is, I'm not, concerned about widespread severe weather at all. I just don't think that is something that we're going to see by any stretch of the imagination. Do I think we are going to get some warnings? Yeah, I do. Do I think we might see a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning? Yeah, I think that is possible somewhere in the tri-state. Do I think we might go under a tornado watch for parts of the tri-state tomorrow late day? Yeah, I think that is possible too. But do I think this is going to be one of those situations where we've got widespread severe weather and damage everywhere? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. It's just not that type of setup. This is not the type of setup that really has me worried about any type of widespread severe weather or even large tornadoes. I'm not concerned about that. If we see anything, it would likely be the brief, smaller little spin-ups that we would see. And I'm loading another model right now. I wanted to show you guys this one, and this is going to be interesting. And all these high-resolution models are going to be a little different because they're trying to model a chaotic atmosphere with incomplete data and data that has errors in it that's just not good. So we can't really model individual thunderstorms too well, at least not accurately. But this will give you kind of an idea of what we're talking about. All right, let me load that. This is a different modeling solution for tomorrow. So it's a similar kind of thing. We start out in the morning with low clouds and fog. And then we try to break into some sunshine later in the afternoon. As we do that, as the clouds thin, we get more heating, more instability, some pop-up little popcorn showers develop. But it's not until late afternoon that we see thunderstorms begin to erupt. So again, after 3, 4 o'clock, some storms start to develop. This model is a little more aggressive and taking some rough weather through Franklin and Butler County, especially Butler County, by around 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So, if this were to verify, we could have a supercell thunderstorm that would move out of Franklin County and across Butler County by the late afternoon tomorrow. It could be a thunderstorm that produces some damaging winds. It could be a thunderstorm that even rotates and could produce a brief tornado. And then notice that storm moves out of the viewing area after, say, 6 o'clock, and it's gone. So this is not a widespread threat for everyone. This is going to be an isolated to scattered threat. And then notice this model doesn't have anything. The other model had, all heck breaking loose by 7, 8 o'clock, and this one really doesn't. It's got that early threat for storms, and then it's quiet the rest of the evening. And then the front arrives overnight, and then we see kind of a line of gusty showers developing along that front, midnight, 1 in the morning in our southeast counties, and then moving out after 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's kind of a different model solution on the weather setup for tomorrow. So again, I want to show you the threats one more time as I load these up there. It's all threats with this one, the wind threat being the highest. followed by the hail threat, and then a lower threat for tornadoes. So, it's something we've got to watch and keep our eyes on tomorrow late afternoon and evening. If you don't have it, grab our Weather Authority app. If you get that app and you allow it to know your location, it will send any alerts directly to you. All right, so we've got a severe weather threat tomorrow. After that, we're talking about winter making a comeback this weekend. As the front comes through tomorrow night, our temperatures Friday will start out in the lower 50s in the morning, then fall in the 40s for the rest of the day. And it's going to be windy Friday, and we're back to normal on the temperatures in the afternoon. And the same story on Saturday here, a high temperature in the mid-40s, which is closer to normal for this time of the year. Sunday into Monday, we've got a little moisture returning to the tri-state in the form of some snow showers that may impact the area Sunday going into Monday. We don't anticipate any big accumulations of snow by any means around here, but there could be some accumulations, especially grassy and elevated surfaces. The trend, though, is to get a lot colder. And this is the European model showing its snow output there Sunday into Monday. There's none Tuesday. This is all Sunday, Monday. So you can see, it's like minor amounts there, generally under an inch of accumulation. So, it's not a whole lot, but enough to remind you that winter is still here. Mother Nature's in charge. Winter is still going to be a thing for us. So, yeah. Again, I wish it were in the upper 60s for the next 6 weeks with sunshine. That would suit me much better than all this active weather we've got coming. So, yeah, we've got the little exclamation point up on the 7-day forecast for tomorrow, indicating that we're looking at the possibility of some stronger storms later in the afternoon and evening. Again, it's a scattered to isolated risk, not a widespread risk. So, I don't want anybody to get overly worried, overly concerned. If you worry about severe weather, I know there are a lot of us out there. I was that way for much of my life. And, when I was a kid, that's how I got interested in weather. I don't want you to become unglued. This is not a huge severe weather threat. This is not a huge tornado threat, nothing like that at all. It's a February threat, which is one of those threats that's kind of on the edge for us. And so we'll watch it. And keep a close eye on it tomorrow for you with those storms coming in late afternoon into the evening. And it doesn't go all night. It's not something that's going to keep you up all night. So we don't have to worry about that. That is certainly good. Friday, I got 54 as a high. That's going to happen probably before the sun rises. We'll fall into the 40s and kind of hang into the 40s, it looks like, the rest of the day. And, yeah, it's going to be windy there on Friday, making it feel even cooler. And, again, Saturday, mid-40s. There's your snow showers for Sunday and Monday with maybe some minor accumulations. Lows are going to dip into the 20s, maybe even the teens in spots there Tuesday morning. And then we're back into the upper 30s Tuesday and 48 back to normal Wednesday as the winds whip up once again. So that's a look at things, guys. Again, don't get too upset. A lot of people are like, you're just trying to upset people to get ratings, and you're just trying to... No, that's the last thing we want to do. We want to just kind of tell you, here's the possibility. Be prepared for it. Obviously, there's a ton of uncertainty with weather. I could tell you for a fact that more of us will have nothing happen tomorrow than we'll see severe weather. Could there be severe weather in somewhere in our 26 county coverage area? Absolutely. But, when you look at things statistically, more of us will not see severe weather than we'll see severe weather tomorrow. If we are into the numerous or widespread or the extreme category, the levels above it, then I'd be a lot more concerned. But we're at level 2. We're not at level 3, 4, or level 5. This is a level 2, level 1 to level 2, really. Level 1 in our southeast counties, level 2 for the rest of us. So not all the ingredients are there, at least not in sufficient quantities, we believe, to produce widespread severe weather, but enough ingredients are there to produce some severe weather possibilities in the tri-state tomorrow. So that's the way we see it. This evening, I'll be getting some brand new data, brand new information in. I'm going to share that with you tonight at 10 o'clock on Star 64 and at 11 o'clock on Local 12 News. So we'll share some of those new high-resolution model runs, see if we can nail this down a little bit more for tomorrow. But again, not overly concerned with this one because it's a February threat. But it's enough to say, we need to keep an eye on that, because if the moisture is a little higher than what the models show, if the instability maybe gets a little higher than the models show, then the severe weather threat could be a legitimate one. If those factors, if those levels of moisture, if those levels of instability are a little lower, then you know what? Maybe we get off lucky and nothing happens, and that would be a great thing. But don't be surprised if by the end of tomorrow afternoon, parts of the tri-state go under a tornado watch. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So don't be surprised if you see that watch scrolling across your TV screens, if you see it pop up on your Weather Authority app, or if you see me post it on social media, because there's enough there that we just need to keep an eye on it. Again, if we do see tornadoes, we're not talking about large, destructive, long-track tornadoes. That is not the case here. There would be more of the smaller, brief, spin-up variety, or those storms that rotate, and we're saying, okay, this thing's spinning. Is it producing a tornado? Well, we've got to issue a tornado warning. The Weather Service does, and so, we're on the air for a tornado warning, and we're saying this may produce a tornado at any point. It's a spinning storm. And some of those never do produce tornadoes. They're spinning, they're rotating, and they just don't. So, maybe that's the situation that we see tomorrow. Or maybe we do get a storm or two that produces a brief, small, short-lived type of tornado. That, too, is a possibility. So we will keep you guys informed anyway. I'm going to get off here, grab some dinner. I appreciate you guys for hopping on with me tonight. Yeah, it's just typical February Cincinnati weather, from a tornado threat to snow. That's just how we roll around here, guys. I'll see you tonight at 10 on Star 64, 11 on Local 12. I'll have some of that brand new information, brand new data in on tomorrow's storm threat. And also we'll talk a little more about the snow showers coming into the weekend. All right, guys, take care. Have a good night.